Everyone talks about weight loss on carnivore, but that's not even the best part. Stick around and I'll share the 5 hidden benefits that completely changed my life. I'm Brian, and I've been eating this way for over 3 years, and I've noticed benefits that are rarely mentioned, or at least not the main focus like losing weight is. So I'm going to go over these 5 benefits. Drop a comment below if you've noticed any of these changes as well. All right. Benefit number 1 is mental clarity and focus. This is something with carnivore that is somewhat surprising, but it's just huge. Like the mental clarity that you get, I can't even really explain it. You kind of have to experience it yourself, but you just feel so much better mentally. Like I had minor depression. I got rid of that with going to carnivore. I know others that had pretty bad depression and got rid of it. Um, you get happier, and there's science to that because of eating a lot of the meat, the red meat, and so forth. Helps with the hormones that make you happy and so forth. So there is stuff like that. You get happier, right? But then there's the whole mental block thing. Like before carnivore, you have these time periods where you're just sitting there and you're like, I can't concentrate. I can't think of what I need to do. I can't think of what I need to say. I get called on, let's say at work, and need to say something, and I can't really think right away of what I want to say. That all changes when you go to carnivore. Like you've got the clarity, you're able to speak up right away. Somebody asks you a question, you can answer it very easily. You start to think more deeply about things. For instance, different topics within society and so forth, you're able to reason better, and it just so much with the mental clarity. All right. So benefit number 2 is joint and inflammation relief. I had all kinds of joint pain, inflammation throughout my body. I had, first of all, I had arthritis in my big toes that was diagnosed through x-rays. I had issues with, I get these flare ups in my ankles or my knees or even like my wrists or my elbows, but especially with the ankles and knees where I couldn't even walk for like 2 weeks at a time because I had, so much joint pain and inflammation, and my foot would be swollen or my knee would just be so swollen. And that would happen a couple weeks at a time. I think the worst one I ever had was on my ankle, top of the foot. This was probably about 6 months before I went carnivore. It was more like 4 or 5 weeks before it was starting to relieve. That pain was starting to relieve for a while. So I had all kinds of issues like that. Within the first few weeks, I noticed that had pretty much gone away. Um, Also, like on this same type of thing would be like back pain, sleeping in bed. I couldn't sleep for more than probably an hour or two in bed. And I'd go down to a recliner and sit in a recliner the rest of the night to sleep. Within a few weeks, I was sleeping all night in bed with no more issues with my back. Okay. Benefit number 3, emotional stability and calmness. This is something that takes a little bit of time, but over time, I really noticed this, probably over the first 6 months or so, especially. But by the time it was at like a year, it was really evident. And for me, um, I went from somebody that tend to get angry quite often, would yell and so forth, would get upset in certain situations. I'd be driving and I'd get upset about the traffic or what was going on. And I went from that to being just a much more calm person. I wasn't getting upset so often. Things would happen that weren't necessarily good things, and I would deal with it calmly. And that's just something that you don't really necessarily think of, that yeah, just by going to a carnivore diet, that can make a change, but it really does. All right. Benefit number 4, this is better skin and gut health. I used to have these bumps like all over on my arms, like small little bumps on the backs of my arms and maybe my legs, that kind of stuff. And never really got diagnosed with anything. I think it probably was a form of psoriasis or something. But I noticed probably within a couple months of being on the carnivore diet that I didn't have those bumps anymore. Those were gone. My skin seemed better. My skin seemed healthier. It seemed, you know, more vibrant, younger, and my gut health got better. I pretty much go consistently to the bathroom when I need to go. I don't have issues with constipation. I don't have issues with loose stools, that kind of stuff. Okay, benefit number 5 now. This is simplified life and freedom from food noise. So, what do I mean here? I mean, there's fewer cravings. Like, I really don't get cravings unless I eat something bad that I shouldn't. So, as long as I'm staying on carnivore, I don't really get cravings anymore. There's less stress from like meal prep. What am I going to eat? You know, what side dishes am I going to make to go with this? Like in the past, before carnivore, I might eat some kind of meat, but that was a smaller portion and I'd have sides and I'd have to figure out what sides and, you know, figure out what all of us were going to eat within the family and so forth. And now I just don't have that, you know? Um, I'm going to eat some sort of meat, probably beef, and I'm going to have enough of it that that's all I need. I don't have to worry about side dishes. I can prep ahead of time if I need to, and it's fairly simple. A lot of times I'll just cook when I'm hungry and go ahead and eat. But maybe I need to plan ahead because maybe I'm going to be in work, you know, that day or something in the office. So I will cook something up, some whatever it is, some burgers or something, and I'll take it with me and I can eat it at work. But that's pretty much it. There's not like a lot of complicated stuff that I have to do. It can be very simple. Um, you know, even eggs, bacon. You can bring bacon and eat cold bacon even at work or whatever, and it works fine. So keep in mind, it's not just a diet, it's mental freedom. Now, I talked about these 5 benefits: mental clarity and focus, joint and inflammation relief, right? Joint pain, inflammation relief, emotional stability and calmness, better skin, gut health, and then finally, simplified life and freedom from food noise. I really feel that these are things that aren't talked as much, especially the the freedom from food noise, the better skin and gut health, emotional stability and calmness. Those are especially things that you don't hear a lot from people. But anyways, if you focus on the scale, you might miss some of these other rewards that you're getting from eating this way. So, what's the biggest benefit that you've noticed? I want to hear from you. So go ahead and drop a line down in the comments below and tell me what you've seen benefits for yourself outside of, just the normal, like losing weight and stuff like that. So I want to hear from you.